Greetings, beautiful earth angels. Welcome back to another video. It's your girl Nagad, and today I look tired. I guess that's to be expected with an 11-day-old newborn. I was trying to film this video, I think maybe like approximately like 2-3 hours ago, but somebody was hungry. Like hungry hippo hungry. Come out. Come out. Please, not now. Oh my god, his eyes are opening. Today I'm going to be filming a why I chose free birth video. I'm also going to be filming a free birth Q&A video next, so expect that one right after this one. When it came to my last video, there's a lot of details and things I honestly forgot because I filmed that video like on a whim, but this one I'm hoping I can get more of that information in there because there are a lot of repeated questions in my comments, my comment section, so hopefully this clears some of it up, and hopefully this maybe intrigues you into looking into free birth a little bit more seriously and maybe considering it for yourself. Who knows? I'm gonna start off with what is free birth or unassisted birth. It's not to be confused with wild pregnancy, and I feel like a lot of people got those two confused in my last video. So like a wild pregnancy is a pregnancy where you're not followed by an obstetrician or a midwife, and it's literally what the word is, wild pregnancy. I don't think there's anything wild about it. I think it's a very natural pregnancy. And then the other one is unassisted or free birth, and that is you can have a wild pregnancy and then also have an unassisted or free birth, or you can also have a regular pregnancy, not regular, but like a pregnancy that's followed by an obstetrician or a midwife. In my case, I had a midwife follow me up until literally the day before I gave birth, and we still go to checkups afterwards with the midwife. We both have a clean bill of health. Is that what it's called? Everything for us is amazing. It's like the midwife is so proud of him and of how much he's gaining weight and all that. He's a very healthy baby. I didn't have a wild pregnancy. I just had an unassisted birth or a free birth. When I went into labor, I did not leave the comfort of my own home. So I made this very clear in my last video, and I want to make it clear again. In 2021, we all have so many ways of giving birth. The thing that is so important is for you to choose what makes you comfortable. And then also, what I also find important is to not judge other women for what makes them feel comfortable. You know what I mean? Like, yes, I have my opinions, and that's what makes me want to take a certain route. Whichever way you want to birth, whatever way you want to feel comfortable birthing, by any means, just don't take this video as me trying to shame women or shame other ways of birthing. It's hard for me to express my opinion on what I chose and why I chose it without talking about the other options and why I didn't go with those options. So again, this is just my opinion, and it's not like, don't take it the wrong way, okay? Just don't take it the wrong way. If you want to though, after all this, you go for it. Take it however way you want to, but those who know and understand know. So personally, as a woman, I believe it is natural and instinctual to follow your own birthing process and to allow your birth to unfold. And I found that that was the journey I wanted to embark on. I wanted to allow my birth to unfold in the most natural way possible, in the place I was the most comfortable, because I have a belief that it's okay. So for you to give birth, your cervix needs to dilate. And I believe that in order for your cervix to dilate, and this isn't something I just came up with, this is actually, I think Ina May, if you don't know Ina May, she's a very famous midwife. She had this story about how this woman was in labor and she was dilating, and then she was having like good conversation, normal conversation with her husband or something, and they were giggling and it was very light and she was dilating very well, and then all of a sudden she got very silent and very thoughtful, like she was in her thoughts a lot, and her cervix shrunk up again. So then Ina May connected the dots and was like, wait a minute, we need you to be comfortable, we need you to talk, we need you to have, you know, do what you were doing before, because that was dilating your cervix. So with that being said, since your cervix needs to be dilated for your baby to come, and comfort is important in that process, I found that it was very important for me to give birth somewhere that I was comfortable having an orgasm, or I was comfortable being butt naked nasty or not. You know, my home. I couldn't wrap my mind around the idea of leaving my house in order to give birth. It felt like leaving my house to have a period. You know, like I don't know what's going on. I know I'm ovulating. I know my body goes through this 30-day cycle or 28-day cycle, and then suddenly I have blood coming out of my pum pum. I didn't do anything. It just happened. So I kind of trusted my body in that sense, where I was like, if my body could make this baby, if my body could get pregnant, then my body could birth the baby. All I have to do is just allow allow it to unfold. Let me just talk about how I stumbled upon free birth. So we're going back to 2019 with my first pregnancy. I had a miscarriage, if you don't know. I was 8 weeks pregnant, but I found out at 15 weeks, which actually I didn't find out at 15 weeks. It was confirmed at 15 weeks. I have a couple videos up on my channel like that I filmed during those times. I had a midwife, and off the back, I was like really confused at how my midwife was operating. I just had one appointment with her and she was already very medical, and I was like, the reason why I'm here is because I want to avoid the medical industry because of all the screw ups they've done. So many screw ups. Let me just play a really quick clip.
In the 1930s, they were giving x-rays on every pregnant woman to measure her pelvis. And then in the 1940s, they discovered that caused the baby to have cancer. So they had to stop it. And then in the 1950s and 60s, they had another drug called thalidomide, which caused babies to be born without arms and legs. And then they had to stop that. But you see, in every case, it was after the fact. In the 1990s, they were giving Cytotec to induce labor in women who had had a previous cesarean. And they ended up with hundreds and hundreds of ruptured uteruses and many, many, many dead babies before they found out, finally, in 1999, that they shouldn't do that. But you see, there's not a good history in obstetric practice of careful study of the long-term effects of all these interventions. This is why, if you really want a humanized birth, the best thing to do is to get the hell out of the hospital.
I mean, the screw-ups are endless, but this is a very, like, obstetrics is a very new and young practice, and I don't trust it. I trust my body a lot more because I'm here today because of a lineage of free birthers, so I just don't trust obstetrics with my children or my body or my health because they've messed up so many times before, and I don't want to be another mess up, so I'm like, I just rather not. Going to the midwife, I was like confused as to why she was talking to me about so much medical things, and I was like, what's going on? At around 8 weeks, I had a feeling, just an intuitive feeling, that I had a miscarriage, and I'm like, something's wrong. Like, I talked to my husband about it, I talked to my mom about it, talked to my friend about it. So I emailed my midwife, and I never heard anything back, and I never actually ever did. It went radio silent from there. I think I booked for another midwife, and then I canceled my follow-up appointment with that midwife because I'm like, I don't really trust you anymore. I thought I had a miscarriage. You didn't take it seriously, and now I'm in that same, like, now I'm like, I think I'm still pregnant because I haven't passed anything. And at 15 weeks I had a new midwife, and she found out that I wasn't pregnant, so that was a whole thing. I had to get an ultrasound to confirm, and the dates lined up perfectly. I honestly think I felt the miscarriage right away, intuitively, spiritually. I'm not even kidding. And then it was confirmed at the ultrasound. Now looking back at it, I'm actually very grateful that that happened, only because my headspace was different. I was a different person. I think this person is better. Better yourself every day, ladies and gentlemen. I think this girl is better, and I trust her more with a lot of things. I like her better. Don't tell the past me I said that. She made me proud though, because I'm just bettering myself. Anyways, that's what happened. I remember telling Bae, next time I get pregnant, I'm not getting a midwife and I'm not giving birth with anyone else. I kept telling him, like, I can do this by myself. This is without any knowledge about the free birth community, and this is without any knowledge about the wild pregnancy community. I just knew I can do it myself, and I kept telling him, I can do it myself. Like, I can really do it myself. We can do it. Like, I just have to get pregnant. Once I'm pregnant, wait until 40 weeks, and then the baby's gonna come. Whatever happens in between happens, whatever happens before happens, whatever happens after happens. But I trust my body to do it, and I kept telling him that over and over and over again. And then when I got pregnant again, I told him I wanted to do it alone, and that's what sparked my research into DIY birth. And then that tied me into free birth, and then that's when I started to find this like huge community online of free birthers, and I was so shocked and I was intrigued, and I joined a couple Facebook groups and I looked into it even more, and I was like, wait goddamn minute, this is a thing? I'm not the only one who feels like this. I'm not the only one who instinctively got the call to birth alone, like, or with their partner. So then I started to look into free birth a lot more seriously, and then I really considered it, and I tried to get Bae along. So, Bae on board, I mean. So this is where, you know, you talk about the partner thing, because I get a lot of DMs of women saying that they're considering free birth, and they really want to do free birth, but their partner is not on board, or their partner is not like necessarily ready for that. And honestly, there's so many reasons why that may be the case. Men have been pushed out of birth. I honestly don't know why. You need that duality, in my opinion, when you are birthing. Not only do you need that duality, when I say duality, I'm talking about feminine and masculine energy, that you're gonna be in the sky. You're literally gonna be in the stars collecting your child's soul. While you're up there, you need somebody down here who can anchor you and remind you and encourage you and assist you in birthing this child. And who better to do that than your partner, you know? So I found that the only person that I necessarily needed there was him. I can't say I needed him there. I really needed him there, because of the moments, like when I tell you my logical mind was not there, I was like high. I was just high. When I watch the videos back, I can just see that I don't even recognize myself sometimes because of how I look drugged up. I understand men feeling maybe afraid, because we have been taught that birth is a scary thing. Birth is something that requires a doctor. Birth is something that women need to be saved from. Birth is something that can harm the woman, harm the baby. Act like we just all act like birth or free birth isn't the reason why we're here today. Modern medicine is only 400 years old. Women have been birthing for literally the beginning of time, since the beginning of time, without modern medicine. And a lot of people's argument there is, yeah, but there's been so many deaths. Please look at the deaths in hospitals compared to countries that do not hospitalize birth. If you watch The Business of Being Born, they actually talk about that. They talk about countries where birth has not been medicalized, and midwives are the prominent birth keepers, I guess you can say. People do it naturally at home, unmedicated. If you compare those numbers of infant mortality, actually no, don't even compare them. They do it in the movie for you. So you should watch The Business of Being Born. I think it's amazing. It's so old, in my opinion, because I'm a young girl. But I feel like it's so old. It's from like the early 2000s, and the information is still so perfect. Look at his feet. So I understand, like, with the fear mongering that goes on in the birthing industry, I understand your husband like being afraid, or your partner being afraid, or not fully committing to the idea of being the only person attending your birth, because in a way that's a lot of responsibility. That's the only person who's not drugged up, but not high, not having contractions all the time, or surges, whatever you want to call them. And the only person that's literally like grounded, the only person that has their full instinctual, or not instinctual, like their full like ability to compute things. So again, it's a lot of responsibility, and I think don't give up on your partner, especially if you want a free birth and it's something you really want to do. Don't give up on them. Reinsure them. For me, what reinsured my partner, because at first he was like, you know, like, I understand what you're saying, but I think maybe we should consider having a midwife. And as soon as I heard that compromise, I was like, yo, I'm on it. I'll get myself a midwife, but we're gonna free birth. And his answer was yes, and that's all he needed. He'd feel better if he knew the baby was in the right position, the baby's heartbeat was okay, and my blood pressure was okay, and everything, you know, like the blood work and all that is okay, so that, you know, he'd feel more comfortable just assisting me with the process of birth rather than the logistics of it. And I completely understood, and I honestly feel like that was the right thing for me to do, because maybe if I didn't have a midwife, I would have been a little bit worried, especially considering the fact that it was my first pregnancy. But I can say though, when I did have my midwife, I for a little while told myself, you know what, let me just birth at the birthing center with my midwife. So those times that I've said that, like, I actually meant it, and I thought I would birth at a birthing center. Did I want to? No. I always wanted to birth at home, but I kind of convinced myself in a way to do it at the birth center, but that died down fairly quickly. And I told people, that important people, about my free birthing plans, and I made sure not to tell everyone. I made sure not to tell everyone, or just anyone, because I didn't want to hear other people's opinions, whether they were positive or negative. I just didn't want to hear it, and I wanted to make sure that this was just me, and for me and my partner, and, you know, like, nobody else's ideas or voices were involved in the story. And I honestly find it so insulting when people talk about how dangerous it was, or how dangerous it could have been. or when people act like they have my best interest at heart or my child's best interest at heart more than I do myself, without even considering maybe I'm saving my child from what I believe to be a danger. And that's what a mother does, right? You save your children from what you believe to be dangerous. And I believe that giving birth somewhere where I'm not comfortable could have hindered the process of me birthing 100%. Like I was saying earlier, a lot of people DM me and they say that their partners are not on board, and that first reason is obviously the fact that men have been removed from the system, and the second reason is just not feeling like you're prepared. So we did our research and we did the necessary work that we believe was enough until we felt comfortable enough to do it ourselves, which, mind you, everything we did was completely unnecessary. All the emergency sheets we read, all of the supplies we considered buying or even bought, all of that was unnecessary. Literally all we used was a towel, some doggy pads, and that's it. We did a partial Lotus birth, only partial because we had to go to the midwife like 4 days after he was born, which wasn't, kind of sucked, but at the same time the umbilical cord was completely dried out. If you don't know what a Lotus birth is, or a partial Lotus birth, is when you leave the umbilical cord on the baby until it falls off. We snapped it off like when it was all dried at 4 days, but then I think it fell off at day 6, so like 2 days later, so that was not a big deal. And then we buried the placenta for our own reasons. Like literally everything, I just want to let you know, by the way, everything we did or I did for myself. I didn't do to have a better baby or a calmer baby or a nicer baby or a more spiritual baby. I did all of this for me because it's my birthing experience. I'm the one birthing, and in a way it's about me and my comfort and what makes me happy. There's a lot of drugs they administer to babies and a lot of things that I believe to be traumatic, like bathing the baby after the baby's born, or the vitamin K shot, or the ointment, or taking the baby away from me, and all these strangers and the bright lights and all of that. I feel like all that is very traumatic, in my opinion, to babies, or maybe not to babies. I just believe it would be traumatic for my baby, so I wanted to avoid that as best as I could. I guess I succeeded in that sense, or in that area, but that's technically all. Like that's why I chose free birth, because I believed not only is it safer, I believed that I was being coerced medically by my midwife to do so many things after the baby was born, and things that I didn't necessarily agree with, things that I believed to be toxic to my child, I should say, and unnecessary. Also, I just could not wrap my mind around the idea of leaving my house in labor. Like I went into labor at home, in the comfort of my home. Why would I leave? I couldn't understand it. I still till this day can't get it. Like packing up a bag to go somewhere else so that someone could help you. And my issue too was that the birthing center wanted me to wear a mask while I'm laboring. If you don't know me, check out my Instagram. You should check out my Instagram. I'm not gonna say anything about that. But they wanted me to wear a mask while I was laboring. They wanted my partner to wear a mask while he was assisting me, I guess. She was gonna wear like practically a hazmat suit. That they were gonna take my temperature at the door. Like it just seemed like everything I didn't want. It seemed like a nightmare. And at some point she even asked me like, oh, where do you plan on birthing? And I said, maybe the bathtub. And she said, oh, I don't think that's gonna work because I need to be able to see, and I'm not able to see in the bathtub. And I was like, this is my birth. What do you mean you won't be able to see? Anyways, learn and watch videos until you feel comfortable doing it yourself. I watched so many women giving birth at home. I even watched a woman give birth in a cave. I watched a woman give birth in her backyard. The baby fell out of her pom-pom literally onto the... I watched a woman give birth in a stream, and they all seemed beautiful. I'm proud of my decision, and I'm proud of the outcome, and I hope you guys stick around to watch my free birth Q&A video that's gonna be released in a few days. The hospitalization of birth is, in my opinion, men just showing women how much they mistrust our bodies and how much hatred they have towards our bodies because they do not trust it to do what it is actually made to do: give birth to babies. So what do? They do intervention after intervention, drug you up with Pitocin, then an epidural, literally tell you throughout your entire pregnancy to stay away from this, only to, at the end of it, drug you up with a bunch of narcotics that are unnecessary and harmful to the baby that inevitably end up in it being a dangerous thing. they make it dangerous. I didn't scream, I didn't yell, I didn't cry. I was very calm throughout all of it. I had my partner here with me. I didn't even consider or even think that I was in danger. Not once. It happened so beautifully. And my biggest takeaway from this experience is that I'm gonna do it again. Okay, I'll see you guys in my next video. I love you so much. Say bye, baby.